Okay, that's fine.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name is Iman, and today we have one of our customers and our sister Alicia, and she is here to talk to us about her story and share her story. So, Alicia, take it away.
Hi, as she said, my name is Alicia. I actually found out about your brand, by Iman, by Iman Akila. I found out by the Joyce dress. You know how we say our phones are listening to us? I'm convinced, because every conversation I hold, whether it's looking for a cleaning lady, a hotel, a dress, it pops up on my timeline. So luckily I had the Joyce dress pop up, and I was just like, oh my God, I love that dress. You know, I told you I like, even if the dress is out big, I was able to cinch it in and give it that baby doll kind of like look. That's, as I call it, you know, that type of look. So I fell in love with it. Then it was like, but now I got to decide a color. Like, what color would I get? So I think I probably went back to the site like for 2 weeks straight, like, what color do I want? Should I get the white? I like the way she put the tennis shoes with the white, but then I got these shoes that go with the yellow, and I love blush pink. I'm just like, what do I get? And I'm like, is that denim? You know, so I didn't know which one to get. I ultimately settled with yellow because I've been told that I look good in yellow. So I was
You
like,
do,
okay,
you do.
tell me, thank you. People, I was like, well, you look good in yellow. So I went with the yellow, and I loved it. I was a little nervous about it because I thought maybe it was going to be too small. I was very surprised to learn it was actually leather when I got it here, which made it even better, because I was expecting, I don't know, what was I expecting? I don't know, was it more something this material? But it was leather, which made it even more cuter. And it just, if you can go to her page. I don't know if you reshared it. I did see it on your website, and any girl that has it on, it just curves and hugs just right. So
thank you so
you
much.
had me hooked there. And then there was the jacket, the peacoat fuchsia kind of jacket with the puffy sleeves. I can't remember the exact name of that one. I was hooked with that one. And when you asked me about the interview, I said, I think I want to get the dress. I just didn't know which dress I wanted. So, but that's how I ultimately found out about you. And I could tell
so much.
Do you make the clothes yourself? Don't you?
So I designed them. We're gonna have a tour of our workroom online on our YouTube channel. But I designed the pieces. I have my inspiration board. I designed the pieces. I actually made this print on Photoshop. I had the fabric printed, but we have a full team of women who sew and make all of the pieces. So I don't personally sew anything. I make the patterns or assist in making the patterns, but I make all of the designs. And then we have a team of 3 women who are also moms who make sure that everything is sold out and made.
Okay. Yeah, I see. I like that because you do it. It's still in-house. It's not like, excuse me, like you're buying from vendors or it's original. And I love my other boutiques. I don't get me wrong, but it starts to be a little repetitive, and it's certain things that you want. Because I actually think I bought that dress for my boyfriend's birthday, but I saved it and wore it for my birthday instead. But it's like when you want that special look, then you don't want to look like anyone else. I feel like that's where you find, you go to your clothes, because a lot of boutiques, it's just the same thing. You see it, the same thing over and over again, and no problem with that. I have bought it, but it's good to see something different.
Thank you so much. So part of what happens at By Iman Akila, we don't want you to just talk about, or we don't want you to just embrace your curves. And we hope through our clothing that it also helps you with your confidence, right? Excuse me. But another thing that we really want to promote is that our friends, our sisters are also telling their stories, right? A lot of times things happen in our lives and we do not have the opportunity to share, like, hey, this happened to me, right? Like, oh my goodness, I was dating this guy and he was crazy, or he was the best thing that happened. And then because somebody else came around, I started dating them and I stopped messing with him. But, just different things happen. And I think one of the things, or not think, but I know that one of the things that I wanted to do with just our brand and develop it even more is also having a conversation with my sisters and to say, hey, how are you? How are you feeling? Has something happened that you want to talk about? Is something pressing you? Is something worrying you? Just giving an opportunity for us to just have real and raw conversations. So I would love to know about something that has happened in your life, something that has a story that you feel like excited, or you want to tell us, our sisters, about something that happened to Alicia.
And I saw that when you with your email about the telling the story, and if it was anything that you want to share that changed your life. Now, I have had moments where I have had several moments that have changed my life. I actually lost my best friend, like my closest friend to me ever, back in 2011. Thank you. That changed my life, definitely. Of course, the birth of my daughter changed my life, because I knew then it was time to grow up.
Yeah.
I always wanted to pursue fashion too, but it was like when, you end up finding out you're pregnant your junior year, you start thinking, well, maybe I need to go over here and get this degree, and we'll work on the fashion thing later, which is more of what I'm coming back to now. I have several, stories that I could tell, but like, as you mentioned earlier, how they tried to tell our story for us as the Black woman. And I think sometimes they expect us to have some tragic story where we were molested by a male member of our family, or are, raised in a single parent home, or mother, started having kids early, so we started having kids early, and that's our story. And one thing that I wanted to focus on, and I haven't really focused on it lately, but a while ago, and it was around the time I actually liked it when Being Mary Jane first came out. Because Mary Jane, if you remember, she was just a normal Black woman. She had no major, story that she could tell you that just a tragedy in her life. She went through normal things that just the normal Black woman goes through. Problem with men, problem on jobs, just those type of things. And that's kind of what molded me, were just basic things. I don't have a started from the bottom, now I'm here.
Yes. It's so crazy that you say that, because a lot of times people want us to have had a struggle, right? They want us to have had hey, I live in a bedroom, in one bedroom with 6 other people, and but sometimes that's not. And while that story is very, very important for people to tell, it's not our story to tell, right? And it's not everybody's story to tell. And I think it's important for people to be able to identify, like, hey, this is my story. And my story was not a story of struggle. My story was a story of learning who I am, or figuring out who I am as a mom. So yeah, I think that that's important. I was interviewed by a guy, and he was talking to me and asking me questions about how I started my brand and all these different things. And he's like, well, you both of your parents were together? And I'm like, yeah, my entire life, both of my parents were together.
Like, that is just like so amazing. Like, you
he's like, well, you went to private school? And I'm like, yes, I went to private school. And he just, the way that he was fishing and asking these questions, it was almost like he wanted me to have a story of struggle. He wanted to be able to pull that out of me. And I'm like, no, my parents are married. They've been married my entire life. They're happily married. I lived in a very nice house in a subdivision community. I have 2 siblings. People, they think that they see Black women, they see struggle, but really what they should see is strength, right? And that is important. And that not to kind of overdo, but I just wanted to, kind of tell you more about, it's just, we're women, right? We're Black women, but we're not always struggling, right? Sometimes we're strong. And I think it's important to tell that story of strength.
Yeah. And we're multifaceted, very multifaceted. They don't understand that. They don't, and it's certain people, like even down to a lot of times I think when we say tell our story, we think we're telling it to the other race. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you also have to tell your story to your own people so they
Yeah.
can understand you. You know, they don't know, like, you can be multifaceted. You can do this on the weekend and return to corporate America Monday. You can do this and then get up and go to your daughter's cheer competition the next morning. You know,
Mm-mm.
they think that because you're just one way, if they see you, you know, do anything else, it's like, oh my God, you do that, you know, or I would have invited you, but I just didn't think, you know, that was your scene, you know. And it's like, no, girl, I that's fine. I was okay with that. You know, you didn't have to leave me out. And I think people have prejudged me so much in my life that I have dealt with that, you know, and it's not anything that you would call a struggle or say like, oh my God, this just messed my life up. But as you said, it's learning who you are.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think when you are, and you know, and when I say this, I don't mean this, I mean this in the most humble way. And I don't mean to sound any type of way, but I think when you did come from a small amount of privilege or a little bit different from what someone else is used to,
Yeah.
I'll use, for example, my boyfriend. We always go back and forth how he was raised on, what is it? He was raised off of struggle, and I was,
Yes.
you know,
Yes. Yes.
that
Yes.
that's a very trying relationship
Mm-hmm.
because it's the things that I think matter. It's kind of like that. That's not that big, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it's big to me because I've
Mm-hmm.
never had to deal with that before, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll say, you know, you and your friends come live in a fairy tale world, and I'm like, well, how do you just know you and your friends didn't live in a nightmare? Like,
Right.
you can't say which is which. What, did I live in a fairy tale or did you live in a nightmare? And I think that has always been my problem, you know, trying to I struggle with mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
even down to with therapists. I would talk to them and they would sit there like, I don't know what, well, did this happen or what about this? And I'm like, no, that was fine. That was fine. You know, I'm an only child. That
Mm-hmm.
could bring up a lot of my problems because I was raised in a home that was centered around me,
Right.
and the world don't care about you like that. And I
Right. Right.
think that was a hard hit for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just basically my struggle was finding myself. I really
Yeah.
had to find myself. I don't think I knew who I was, you know.
Okay.
I was raised this way, but then I got attracted to this type of guy. Then it was these type of girls were more entertaining to me. But
Mm-hmm.
then I still had my friends that I came up with that, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it was really just trying to find myself. And
Right.
in that process, I found myself what I call doing people pleasing, and I'm not
Yeah.
a pleaser, you know, that's not
All
my
right.
personality. And I realized that I didn't have a lot of I'm a black and white person, and I
Okay.
had to establish gray areas in my
Yep.
life.
Yep.
And that's basically when you are multifaceted, when you are around different people, you went through different walks of life, you do have to establish gray areas. And that
Mm-hmm.
was my problem. I had no gray areas at
Yep.
all. It was either I had gray areas socially, I can say that. But when it came to major decisions, it's either I deal with you or I don't deal with you at all. Where I had to learn, you just have to learn how to deal with people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to really cut them off. You don't have
Yep.
to, you know, be around them all the time. I just had to learn different things. And that was my struggle because when you don't know who you are or what you
Mm-hmm.
want to be or where you fit in at, that has an effect on your every aspect of your life, from
Mm-hmm.
your relationships to your career to even to some of my parenting choices. You know, some
Mm-hmm.
things it's like I really don't have a problem with that, but society probably will look at it
Would
this
have a
way, you
problem with
know,
it.
when it comes to, you know, parenting. And I think my struggle was really just getting comfortable with myself. And I
Yes.
will tell you now at 37, I'm really just getting there.
Yeah.
Really just
Okay.
getting there. Hmm.
That's important. And I think a lot of times people don't pay attention to taking the time to learn them, right? There are so many different things that happen that give us the opportunity to be able to sit back and say, you know what, I didn't like that. Or I really like that. Like trying to find hobbies and things that we enjoy doing or people we enjoy being around. and being around more people like that, right? And going places and just having some self-care and taking care of ourselves. And I think a lot of times when we sit down and give ourselves opportunities to just be one with themselves, with ourselves, then we give ourselves the opportunity to say, okay, I really want to do XYZ. I really don't want to be around people who are ABC, right? For me, when you were talking about, you know, the juggles with friends and people pleasing, right? I was friends with someone, I mean, my almost entire high school life and after. And looking back, that friendship was toxic. You know what I mean? It was like it was a one-sided friendship. And I wanted to be her friend and I was her friend, but all the time she was not my friend, right? And I think that once I got out of that and I started to just get to know Iman a little bit more and really determining like, who am I? Who am I as a woman? Who do I want to be around? Who are the people that I want to attract? And once I became the woman that I wanted to be, and I'm still developing her, right? I'm still becoming her, but when becoming Michelle Obama, but I'm still becoming her. Once I became like this woman, and I'm like, you know what? I didn't like her. You know what I mean? Like, she was not a good friend to me. And I, as a mom, want to instill things into my son that tells him, like, hey, you want to be around people that want to be around you, right? You want to be able to be yourself with people. You don't want to have to walk on eggshells and in your friendships. When you're around people, you should be able to be unapologetically you. And once we give ourselves the opportunity to do that and to be that, then we open doors and we're just happier. Like we're just super happy and we're just super comfortable. And that's important.
Yes, you have to. And luckily with my daughter, she's a Gemini, so I never know which way to go with her. One day,
I always say Geminis are a special breed of
they
people.
are a special breed. They really, I'm here to tell you. I mean, one day she will make me feel like, oh, I'm not gonna have a problem with Mackenzie. You know, she's saying things like, I know extra one day, I said, I never see you play with, you know, so and so anymore. And she corrected me. She said, well, first of all, because she's 14, she said, first of all, I don't play with anyone anymore. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I don't see you or her around or hear you talk about her or anything anymore, whatever it is you do now at this age with your friends. And she was like, I just saw where she wasn't a good friend to me. Like I just saw where her friendship was toxic, and I didn't need that in my life. And
yes, and I love that Mackenzie was able to identify that at 14.
Yes, and she tells me certain things. She can hear me. I talk to her, you know, that's like, you know, with me being an only child, I was raised like the third adult in the household, you know, so I talk to my child about different things. And, you know, she'll tell me things like, give them the same energy they give you, you know, or just like, she has that side, but like I say, she's a Gemini. She has that flip side where it seems like you're a little sensitive and you're getting a little down about certain things dealing with friends. So I don't know, you know, because the other day, well, this actually has been a while ago, I helped Survivor just happened to come on XM radio for some reason. And so I was like, you like this song? I said, you should listen to the words to it. I said, it's a good motivational song. So she actually liked the song. And so then after that, I kept saying, this is another good motivational song. And she was like, Mama, why do you feel like I need so much motivation? I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. Why do you keep recommending these motivational songs, you know? So it's just, I never know which way with her. I just have to fill her out and just do what I have to do. I need to do as a parent, you know, but it's hard.
If you had a tip or advice to give a working mom, what would it be?
Don't put your job first. One thing, I think that this is nothing new, but it's something that I've heard a lot this past year or so, that, you know, they will have your position filled before your funeral is held, you know? And I mean, I think my job, we have a very, you know, caring, supporting work system. And so I can't really say this towards them, but always put your children first.
Of
I
course.
don't know how many things. I moved to Atlanta about 4 years ago. I'm
Okay.
from South Georgia. So thankfully in Mackenzie's earlier years, I had family, her father's family, my family that could fill in, but it was so many things that I missed because I had to work, or I was, had just got moved into this position and was scared to start taking this much time off,
Right.
but now, no, I put it in, luckily she usually cheers, but we took this year off because of, the pandemic and everything. But when it starts back up next year, I gotta go,
Right.
y'all giving us these laptops during the pandemic. I will work while I'm here, get it done, whatever.
But nothing and
yeah.
no one is more important than Mackenzie, of course.
Yes, and so never put your child first. Also, don't take things too personally. I think a lot of times on the job we take things way too personally. Remember, you were there to make money, not friends. So, and just always keep that in mind. Do your job. They may talk about you. They may say that you feel like you're this way or you feel like you're that way, but I guarantee you, if you follow that routine, you will go further in the company than those that are sitting there talking about you. So just those are some things I've learned. Just be you, do you. I live life where if anything ever goes down, I can always say I was in the clear. I was on the up and up. My intentions were pure. And I just feel like that's how you should live life with anything, with your relationships, your children, your job, everything. But I'm just getting to that point now. I haven't always been like that, but it's a point I feel like you should get at. And like I said, I've always suffered from anxiety, but I've noticed as I take this deep kind of look into myself and figure myself out, my anxiety is not as bad anymore, so it's calming, and it's other things. I'm getting into meditation and just different little things I'm practicing, but self-care, I would recommend. Self-care is very important. Self-care is not always bougie, keeping your hair and nails done. Self-care is doing what you need to do for you,
it's taking a nap.
Yeah, if you need to take a nap, if you need to, whatever it is, get you at least a day or some hours of self-care in. You'll go insane if you don't.
Okay, and if you could tell your 16-year-old self something, what would it be?
Oh, stay you.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is and it's funny that you said 16, because 16 is around the time when I started to transition, when I didn't want to be known as a little bougie Black girl that acts white, or, that I was tagged that a lot in, school. And so it was then when I made my transition, when I started to find out about other parts of life, that was a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting, that didn't make me seem so lame or green or whatever words we used then. But if I had to tell my 16-year-old stuff that now, I would say stay you. Don't worry about what people say about you. Continue to just be who you are. Be you.
Be unapologetically you. Yeah.
Be unapologetically you.
Yes.
I always say it's a difference between real and rude. There's a way to be real without being rude. And I had to learn that thin line and not to cross it myself. But, it's a way, just be true to yourself and I call it solid. Just stay solid. Yeah. So that's what I would tell 16-year-old me. Just remain who you are and forget.
And if you could say something to Mackenzie, just as a motivation for something for her to just hear from you to her, what would that be?
The same thing. To stay her, to be herself. Do not try to follow the in crowd. With her, I know just as well when she says something and it was her own personal thought and it's her own personal opinion and something she likes, and just as well as when she said it and it came from someone else. I will stop her and say, who did you hear that from? Right. Why do you love Rod Wave so much right now? Did you hear somebody else with Rod Wave? And when she gives me her answers, I'm like, oh, you really like Rod Wave, don't you? Know the man's whole.
Me too, Mackenzie. Me too. I'm blasting him all day in the workroom.
Yeah, but y'all would make it because she loves her. She knows his whole name. I can't remember it, but she has told me that man's whole name. So she's really into him and knows his whole life. But there are some things that she says where I'm like, that's not your own personal opinion.
Right.
You heard that from somewhere
Right.
else. And
Right.
that's when I use that as teaching points to be you and be yourself.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I stress to her. But it's hard as a parent also, and I know we're running out of time. I can be so long-winded, but you can't teach your kids to be them and then be themselves, and when they are their self, themselves, you don't like it and you say something.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the problem I'm running into also, so you kind of got to decide which way you're going to go with your
Right.
parenting. So
Right.
but I know I want my daughter to be herself. I want her to be
Yes.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna
And
have to
confident.
and confident. So
Mhm.
whether I like it or not, as long as she's not harming herself or others, I kind of just gotta roll with it.
Yeah. 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 Because I mean, our kids learn how to love themselves through us and how we love them and show them how to love themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
that is major, major, major. And the point that you made about, putting your kids first and not allowing work to come first, you're gonna make me leave work today and drive to Charlotte and go get my baby and be like, you know what? We're
Get
gonna
your
have
baby, go get him. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the weekend. Go ahead.
Well, my one of my good friends, my goddaughter's mom, I had them the first half of the week, and she's gonna have them the last half of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So he's having fun. He doesn't need me to come get him. But you just when you make that statement, it's just like, you know what? While work is not first, it's also important. And a lot of times I have to have that reminder that, hey, take some time for just fun. So I appreciate that. Maybe I'll go get a mani-pedi this weekend.
Yeah, that's what I have to do after this. that seems like such. I don't know why that seems like such a chore for me. Going to get my nails and toes done. Like I wish
Yes,
somebody to take my hands,
especially on a Friday.
Yes, it's like such a chore. But you're
Mhm.
like, I need it bad.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
want to say thank you so much, Alicia, for joining us. I really, really, really appreciate it. I know that so many of us will find a lot of similarities in your story and in ours. And you all, if you're following this, if you're watching this, as Alicia said, be you, be unapologetically you. Follow what it is that you want to do, and stay true to yourself. Because at the end of the day, all we all have, is just ourselves. So take some time for yourselves. Seek self-care. Is there anything else you want to say to our sisters?
Not that I can think of right now. I mean, if I thought long enough, I'm quite sure I could say 5,000 more things, but we'll wrap it up. But just like I said, just be you. Don't worry about what anyone else says. Look at self first. I will
Yeah.
say that if a lot of times when we have conflict come up, look at self first and see
Mm-hmm.
what you did. Don't be so quick to point the finger. A lot of us
Yeah.
don't do that. And just take a deeper look at yourself. When you take a look at yourself, you will figure out so much things. And I don't think a lot of us really take the time to take that deep of a look into ourselves.
Yeah.
Now I know some women that are reading or that will see this are older and have did all of this and like, child, that little girl can't tell me anything. But as far as the younger ones that are struggling with this, and don't let anyone tell you your problem is not a real problem, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
problem to you. And
Yes.
this
Yes.
is
You can't
for,
speak from somebody
yeah,
else's reality.
yes, you may not have been raped by an uncle. My heart goes out to anyone that went through that. You may not have had to live on the street, but don't let anyone tell you your problem is any smaller than anyone else, because we're not comparing problems. Because if
Right.
we were doing that, there's always going to be somebody doing better than us or worse than us. So we
Right.
have to
Right.
focus on ourselves.
Yes.
So I really talk to, like, my heart goes out to anyone that has had a struggle out there. But I talk to the regular girls, and letting you know that you're not overreacting. Don't let anyone think you're being bougie or, you just being a brat. If it means something to you, stick to it,
Right.
and just realize you have problems too. You don't
Right.
have to have had a struggle to have problems.
Right.
So
Our
just, and I,
realities are what our realities are. And
yes,
at the end of the day, we everything is a learning curve and everything is an experience. And whether we had a good experience or a bad experience with it, it was still an experience.
exactly. And I know out there somewhere there are, the young girls or women that are probably sitting there now probably, swallowing their problems because someone has made them feel like they're small. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling them, don't do that. Don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Well, I appreciate you. Before we go, we're gonna do a little boomerang. 1 second.
I know I wanted to take a picture of myself. I was like, is it appropriate? I wanted to get a
Yes, let's
snapshot
take
of
a
me
boomerang really
myself.
quickly.